Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with CircWorks, and this is 100 Days of Making Comics. 100 Days of Making Comics. 100 days of putting aside anything that gets in my way, anything that stops me from working on my own personal comic book project, whether that's client work, whether that's leisure time, which I don't have a whole lot of, but not that you shouldn't do client work because that stuff pays the bills, not that you shouldn't take your leisure time because you need that, but you also need to find time to work on your own personal stuff, because if you're anything like me, it's just something that is you're really passionate about, and it's a shame not to spend time doing it. So even if it is a short amount of time, like 30 minutes a day. And you know, this project I'm working on, it's called Young and the Dead. It's Kids vs. Zombies. It's Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. You've heard it all before. This is the current issue. This is number 2. I'm working on number 3 right now. So yeah, so it's, you know, it takes a while to do this because, you know, ever so often I get a chance to put in a little more than 30 minutes, but not that often. So yeah, I really, one of these days I want to take just a day, a whole day, and just work on it, see how far I get. But until then, the general idea is that we spend at least 30 minutes a day, and that's what I've been doing. So today, speaking of 30 minutes, and speaking of what this whole thing is about, just finding time to do things, because otherwise sometimes we wouldn't do that, and a lot of that has to do with procrastination. So I figured I'd talk a little bit about procrastination and maybe just time management in general, just briefly. I don't want to get all self-help guru on you, so I'm not going to do that. But I kind of had a situation, something that happened to me because I procrastinated that ended up not being that great for me, and I wish I could go back in time. I wish future Scott was here with that time machine and that rocket jetpack, so he could tell me, so I could borrow it and go back in time. But anyway, so first of all, procrastination, and I've always considered myself being pretty good about not being a procrastinator. I've been, you know, most of the time I make my living solely off just doing freelance illustration, and with that you need to have a lot of like self-control, and you can't, you know, be watching, you know, Judge Wapner or whatever it is, daytime television or whatever's on reality TV, you know, whatever, all these other distractions, and, you know, internet and things like that, which, you know, that's kind of a double-edged sword, because as an artist, you know, it's really crucial that you use social media to promote yourself and everything, so you've got to kind of keep that balance. So I try to do that, and it's probably at the expense of not doing as much kind of marketing myself on social media as I should, because I've been posting all these videos on YouTube, but not a whole lot on Facebook and everything, and that's something I'm still working on. But as far as just creating artwork and doing, you know, graphic design or illustration for clients and things, I've always been pretty good about me. I've never really missed deadlines. I always get things done on time. I'm able to manage that. But I think the reason why is because I like doing that stuff. I like doing illustration. Even, you know, a lot of times, you know, you'll hear us artists talk about, oh, it's client work and all this, and sometimes it's not exactly what you want to be working on, but hopefully with any kind of job that you're doing that has to do with graphic design or illustration or whatever you're into, hopefully you can find something you like about that and get excited about it, and if not, hopefully there's a paycheck at the end of the road for that. So yeah, I'm able to kind of balance all that and not fall behind and not get too distracted. Strict deadlines help. You know, if you have a deadline, that's always helpful, because that's a clear thing. When you don't have a deadline, that's something that can really, you know, be the nail in the coffin as far as getting things done, because if there's no urgency to it, then you'll just keep putting it off and putting it off. But kind of what I'm talking about is that because I like to draw and illustrate and design, it's not hard for me to want to do that and to get that stuff done and everything. And so that's why I've always thought of myself as not someone who's really a procrastinator. But then I kind of had a situation where I had to rethink that. because things that I don't like to do, I do procrastinate about, and I never really kind of thought of that. I had a situation with my car, and I'm not a car guy. I don't know anything about fixing cars or anything under the hood other than changing my oil, which I don't do anymore. It's been a long time since I've done that. I can change a tire. That's about it. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a car guy, but I did buy a car. It's a couple years old now, and my battery started acting up on me. You know, it wasn't holding the charge. It wasn't, you know, it would not want to start up and everything. And so I'm like, you know, this was a couple weeks before, or a week before I was about to go to Las Vegas and everything, and I'm like, well, I'll put it off. I got a battery charger. If I need to, I can charge it. And I, you know, made sure it was charged so I can get to where I wanted, and I figured, you know, I'll get around to it, and partially because I didn't want to spend whatever it was for a battery, and all that. So it ended up that I put it aside for a week or two, and what I didn't realize is that my warranty was a 2-year warranty. My car was just over 2 years old by like 10 days, and if I would have taken care of that earlier, I wouldn't have had to pay for a new battery. So now I'm out like $100 or whatever. And you know, if you are a freelance illustrator, every little bit helps. So I wish I didn't have to shovel out that $100, and I wish I would have not procrastinated and get that done. But again, that's what I'm talking about. These are things that I don't want to deal with. Car things. There's certain things I don't want to deal with, and those type of things are are the things that I will put aside. And so this is one tip that I'll offer. Try to take on the things that you don't want to do first, and just get them out of the way. Then you can focus on the stuff you do want to do, because it's a lot easier if there's something you want to do to do it. And so I should have taken care of that car issue first, and then worried about client stuff and everything, because I still had to spend the time, whether it's down the road or whatever. I still had to do it. I still had to go, you know, to the dealership and do all that stuff and wait around, and that was, you know, half of my day, which I could have been working on other stuff, which, you know, that doesn't really factor in one way or the other. No matter if I waited or if I did it then, I'd still have to do that. But that $100 kind of did sting when it could have been for free. So, and it would have been a brand new battery with another 2-year warranty, so I wouldn't have to worry about it for another 2 years. So anyway, so yeah, try to, if there's things you don't want to do, and it's difficult, because there's certain things we just fear doing, you know, like even getting on camera and doing this kind of stuff. That's something that I'm not too comfortable with doing, but I started doing it. I get better at it, and you will get better at things you don't like to do the more you do them. So it's kind of got to kind of push yourself to do that. So yeah, definitely, you know, try to take those things you don't really want to do and kind of do those first. The other tip that I can give you, it's something that I do with my comic book Young and the Dead, is if you have a big project, if it looks like this monumental task that's going to take forever to do, like I knew I wanted to create this graphic novel, comic book, graphic novel, whatever you want to call them. People know the term graphic novel, so that's why I'm saying that. Or a trade or a large comic book, right? I think Kevin Cross calls them chubbies or something like that. But so I wanted to create this trade paperback, a long form comic book story, but I didn't want to look at it as this, you know, whatever it is, 200-page, you know, comic book, you know, massive thing. So what I did was, and this is kind of a standard thing too, but so I broke it up into issues, and this is, again, that's kind of how they sell comics, but it did help me because I was able to break it up into small chunks, and so I've got 2 issues done now. Otherwise, I might still have 2 issues done, and then part of this 3rd one done, but no one would have seen it or anything, or I wouldn't have anything to hold in my hand. So set those kind of milestones along the way, and it'll give you a sense of accomplishment. The 3rd thing is just, you know, and this isn't going to work in all situations, because not all things, like I'm not gonna create a 100 days of going to fix my car battery type situation. But as far as comic books, just these little videos that we're doing a day is really good because it helps hold you accountable when other people are watching, or even if nobody's watching. If I started this thing and no one was watching, I probably would be a little upset. But I would keep doing it because even just the act of getting something on, you know, on camera and uploading it and being it out there in the universe, even if maybe no one sees it, you know that you're doing it and you're making a habit of it, and that will help get things done and allow you to accomplish more and not to procrastinate. So those are just some procrastinating time management tips just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a lot more. Like I said, this is just off the top of my head. I'm not a self-help guru. I don't claim to be. I don't really. It's not something I want to do, or if I buy in to. I think the thing with a lot of self-help people is a lot of it is, you know, somebody can tell me exactly what to do as far as to be successful. I could sit here. I couldn't, because this isn't. I mean, I'm not an authority on that. But a good, you know, person, one of these self-help guru type guys, he can sit here and tell you all these different steps to do, and then if you'll do it, you'll be successful. And to be honest, a lot of times that can be true. If you follow these steps, and some of them are pretty elaborate, and some of them take time, and they're building. But certain personalities, it's not that easy. Just because one person can do all these steps and follow this kind of roadmap doesn't mean everyone can. Not everyone, you know, not everyone's got an A-type personality. Not everyone's built for doing that. So I mean, it's just because it worked for him and it might work for other people, and that kind of, or him or her or whoever the guru is, it kind of takes a certain kind of person to, you know, whether you're an excellent salesman, and I've always said this, if you're an excellent salesman but not that great of an artist, you'll probably do a lot better than this totally awesome artist that's a lousy salesman. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. I mean, you know, I don't know. It's like I said. It's so I mean, and I think a lot of people are in my camp where it's kind of they're somewhere in the middle there. I'm not the best salesman. I'm not the best artist, but you know, I do what I can. So anyway, again, getting to the point. This always happens with these videos, is that I start to ramble on when I should have. I had a good point way back there somewhere. I should have just stopped on it, but I didn't. So anyway, that's just a little bit of my personal experience with procrastination and why, and hopefully just telling you this, maybe it'll you know, light a fire into somebody and make sure something, if there is something like that happening in your life, take care of it, because you don't want to. Sometimes it's not a good idea to wait, even though you'd like to, and even though it's easier to wait. So that's it for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. That is all.